So I think it's like an image of that community work. One of the main example of community work is the practice of collective care. It has been seen in rural areas, and it's still happening in most of the rural areas in Africa, especially in Madagascar. My dad lived in the village, and he still practices that value of community work, engaging all of the villagers for agriculture tasks, construction building, and other community projects. And I think that's the value of time and collective care is something very important in the area of generosity. Because if I want to share a practical experience based on my non-profit organization, I remember last with one of our funders, we were given a grant, and they asked us to give like 10% of the grant, but we didn't have the money in our organization. It's like $100,000. So we were supposed to give $10,000. So what we did were we did conversion of the times of our volunteers. How much do it cost? The times of our volunteers. And we came to our funders like, maybe we don't have $10,000, but we have like 300 volunteers around the country. And if we do the calculation, it's more than $10,000 because they are giving their time like free. And they are engaging themselves like with professional value, not because they are volunteers, but they are not professional in their work. And actually it took time to negotiate, but the funders agreed. And I think it's one of the ways that we know if a new area of funding opportunities, what is happening in the world and especially in Africa, instead of always like asking, because there is a stereotype of like African people like to ask for charity. Actually, we are not asking for charity because we have our measurement of our resources. That's one of the resources that I said. But the other one that I would like to highlight is the value of family. I really I am really engaged in the value of family in Africa because family means to me like solidarity. Meaning of family goes behind respect and obedience because it's one of the core African value, and the meaning of this is more about cultural and spiritual dimensions. One of the philosophies that we care in Africa is the Ubuntu philosophy. I am because we are, because that's the value of family. And in this time of a very, how do I say it? Like people feel hopeless, like people feel lonely because of the crisis around the world, I think one of the value that we carry in Africa is that family values, that solidarity, again, collective care and self-care. And that's something that we need to make on the table, but that's part of the resources. So hopefully it will engage attendance to the conversation around philanthropy and justice in Africa, because my last point is like in a country like mine, Madagascar, most of the countries in Africa seem like with a high rate of poverty. Sometimes like we see that poverty maybe in a way of I don't like really to say Western ways, but I mean like we need to see beyond that. Like when you are poor, we are asking only from the others, because we are actually not asking the way that we eradicate poverty in Africa is with our own resources, and the most valuable resources that we have is our values, and we need to highlight that. And to end, my point is one of the part of a poem that I wrote around that African value is that now is the time to turn hope into deeds for political, social, and economic needs for Africa, our homeland, bold and free, our dreams, our faith, our destiny. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lalaina, for that powerful download that you've just given us. Indeed, Africa is rich. Africa has the power to give what it takes. United, we stand as Africans. The Ubuntu spirit is revived. Thank you so much, Lalaina. Without wasting much of the time, we'll go straight into our next speaker, who is coming from Lesotho, and she's the Giving Tuesday country lead for Lesotho. Her name is Dimple. Dimple, if you're on the line, please come through for us. And your question, Dimple, is what does it mean? What does it mean to give for justice in your local context? Dimple, please.
Thank you very much, Amali, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. As Mali has just explained, yes, I am Dimple Mutodindleleni from Lesotho. I'm the Giving Tuesday country leader from that beautiful mountain kingdom. So I know that you'd find, though we are Africans, that most of us do not really know much about Lesotho. So just a brief intro of Lesotho. Lesotho is a very beautiful mountainous country nestled in the heart of the Republic of South Africa. It is a home to the Basotho nation with a population estimated at around 2.3 million. And yes, Lesotho is a kingdom. Our country was founded by the King Moshoeshoe I in the early 1700s. So just to go straight into the question that you have raised for me, Mali, I would want us to take a look into the keywords, which are give and justice. So give literally means the transfer of ownership. So it means when you give, you are no longer the owner of whatever that you give. It's no longer in your possession. So whomever receives it, it's at liberty to use whatever that has been given, however, the way they feel necessary. And also justice, it's kind of a broad term, legally, spiritually, economically, or otherwise. But in its simplicity, it actually requires that every person be treated according to the same standards with some respect, regardless of class, race, ethnicity, gender, nationality, and many other social categories. So in the context of Lesotho, which is my local context, give for justice means to give in order to ensure that justice is administered to the one that receives. It implies an intentional giving to address the imbalances that might be a result of many dynamics. It also means relevant giving that is intended to fill the gap. It's giving that retraces historical, systemic, political, economical, social, technological, and legal flaws. It's the giving that serves justice it is the giving that restores, that heals, but not only heals, also dignifies. It is the giving that is consistent. That's a lifestyle. Importantly, there must be an understanding that impactful and influential giving for justice takes time. We know that as Africans, there are so many themes that we live by. For instance, I know that even the mention of Ubuntu or Ubuntu resonates to most of us because as Africans, we have been united. We have been a nation that shares almost each and every resources. So in my local context, there are so many phrases that do bind us together, that mandate us to give, because in Lesotho, giving, it's not just something that one does, but it's a responsibility. So I just want to quickly dive into a case study that GivingTuesday Lesotho is currently looking into. So Lesotho has got 10 districts, and in the 10 districts of Lesotho, there is one district by the name of Chasnek. So Chasnek is the least populated district in Lesotho with less than 75,000 people. And most of the people of this district do live in the rural areas. And as you may understand, our country is super mountainous. That is why it has even got a beautiful name that is Kingdom in the Sky. So due to its terrain and everything, the people in rural areas are away from services. They do not have access to many of the infrastructures that might provide education or any other means of comfortable day-to-day living. So this particular district, we conducted a study. The study was mainly triggered by that almost in each and every weekly news, you'd find that there are so many cases of sexual assaults, minority abuse, crime, and so many disturbing issues that are happening in this district. So as GivingTuesday Lesotho, we took upon ourselves to make a minor study to see as to why are these instances occurring. So what we found out was that most of the perpetrators are people in the rural areas, are people, some of them who cannot even ride, are people that are illiterate, are even people, or these offenders are people who are not even aware that they are committing crimes or they are violating fundamental human rights of their victims. Let's say, for instance, you find that culturally, it is normal in those rural areas for an old man to marry a minor. It is also normal or culturally accepted, for such people to even sleep with their wives per se, without consent, without having given consensus to sexual relations. So when they are brought before the courts of law, you'd find that these people are not even aware that they were committing crimes, because this has been a norm, this has been a practice, this is what has been culturally accepted. So we took it upon ourselves as GivingTuesday Lesotho to really educate the youth around those areas as a way also of empowering our youth and also enabling social protection. So I think I will go to the question that was asked earlier by Liz, that yes, as Africa, we have the potential to change towards impactful giving for justice. And yes, we have the potential to define or to decolonize philanthropy to solve the problems that exist in our local context, because we do know our context better than anybody else. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dimple. That was so deep. Thank you so, so much. Thank you so much for what you have just shared. Indeed, Africa has a lot of things in common and a lot of things to share. Thank you so much to see that you're doing that survey, to just, you did that survey, which I think a lot it's happening in a lot of African countries, and we would like to see well, the report that you're going to come up with. And well, we'll straight away go to, looking at time, we'll straight away go to our next speaker, who is none other than Ronnie from Congo, Brazzaville. Ronnie is a social entrepreneur and founder of Butterfly, an NGO promoting youth leadership, volunteering, and education in Congo. A Yali alumni and certified trainer in mindfulness, public speaking, and English. He also serves as the national ambassador for Giving Tuesday in Congo and is a member of the IVE Global Network. Ron empowers young people to become change makers through civic engagement and innovation. Ron, your question is, how have you used local giving traditions to drive social change? You have 7 minutes, Ronnie, to just explain and just give a brief to answer that question. Over to you, Ronnie. You are still muted, Ronnie.
Oh, sorry. Hello, everyone.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Yes, Ronnie from Congo, country leader of Giving Tuesday, as you've mentioned earlier. What I have to say from your question is that in Congo, Brazzaville, tradition of solidarity and mutual aid are deeply, let's say, woven into our daily lives. So cultural practice, we have cultural practice like Kobina, which means mutual help during hardship. And we have Libanda, which means community gathering. And the other thing we have is Mbongi. Mbongi is a traditional space for dialogue and collective decision making. Those things form the foundation of our values, let's say tradition. And at Butterfly, the youth-led social impact organizations that I lead, we made we try to, let's say, we try to make a conscious decision to reactivate these traditional practices as tools for civil engagement, social transformation, and especially among young people and marginalized communities. Instead of relying on international head models, what we did, we built a community giving circle inspired by our local custom, like, as I said earlier, what we call by Mbongi, the fact of people gathering together and trying to see what are the problems in our society, then we can decide together. So these circles are space, both physical and virtual, where young people, then the place give young people, women, elders, the possibility to give what they can. They can give their time, they can give their knowledge, they can give their skills, they can give local resources, and whatever they can give. Our belief is simple. Everyone is a giver. So thanks to that tradition we have as Mbongi, or the fact of being together because we need to solve a community problem. That's the reason why we created this kind of giving circle to give everyone the possibility to be a giver. That's why we launch so many program. As one of the program last week, which is a menstrual campaign, which is a period campaign. We know that in our society, this subject is supposed to be taboo. So and then what we did, so we gathered, we see what solution can we bring to young people, because they don't have resources to buy those menstrual pads, sanitary pad. So and thanks to the circle we created, we can think about what we can do for our community as well. So and one of the things also we did is that we try to see that young people are not really, let's say, they are not really involved in community service or in giving back to the community, and then we use those our tradition in solidarity to teach those young people the value of sharing or giving. So that's why we created those space in talking young people, in talking out people of the community about giving back to their community, because when they give back to the community, and this is how we can build a better world for everyone, a better community. And by doing that, by building our local tradition of giving, so what we did, we empowered young people to reconnect with their cultural heritage, and that lead change in their community. Because today we can see that in our community, more and more we can see young people being involved in giving, in helping, because this is part of our tradition, and this is part of our tradition. So and the main thing we say, that we believe that our tradition can fuel innovation, and local generosity can build society we all dream of. So thanks to the traditions, as I said before, what we have by Mbongi, the fact of being together in a giving space, for dialogue and collective decision making. So what we do is that everyone, we sit down, then we can talk about social problem and how we can solve them, and each one can contribute in giving ideas as well, and everyone is welcome to give his contribution. As I was saying, contribution is, that can be money, that can be your time, that can be your knowledge. And that's the reason why also most of our volunteers, for example, they give their time, they give their knowledge, because we are really involved in a digital education as well. And this also is one of the way for those volunteers to give their time to the community in teaching people, in teaching some of the communities. And most of the time what we do is that we go far in remote areas. And because in remote areas, those people living in remote areas, they don't have enough resources. And what we do is, we know that those people are in need, and that's the reason why when we are together, we in Mbongi, as I was saying, that can be a physical space or a virtual space. Then we talked about those issues. Then we come up with some of the solution. We come up with ideas, and then we can select some of the volunteers, some of the people they volunteer for that, and they can give their time, they can give their resources, their money, or their knowledge as well. And this is founded around the tradition we have, as we say, Mbongi. And thanks to that, and thanks to that, we did a lot of things that impacted lives of people. And today we can see the lives of our communities is changing let's say, is changing most of the time because of the contribution of each and everyone. Yeah.
All right, Ronnie, thank you so much. Thank you so much for what you're doing. That's a lot of work.
So I wanted to say something I didn't mention. And during COVID-19, for example, it was tough time in the world. And what we did so we gathered, that was a virtual. This is an example. For example, we had a virtual meeting, and then we decided to manufacture some of the mask for protection. So, and then we had people, they contributed with fabric. Those fabrics help us, for example, to manufacture the mask, because at that time it was expensive to afford a mask. That's the reason why we saw that opportunity for us to help. And that's and the thing is, it was a virtual meeting. And this is, as I was saying, Dombongi, it was a virtual meeting. Then we decided what to do for our communities. And then we asked for help. And then some of the people were giving the material like fabric that help us to manufacture masks. And then we took those masks, then we distributed to the population. And it was 2,000 masks that we manufactured. This is one of the examples of giving a tradition. Yes, I wanted to say that.
Thank you so much, Ronnie, for that amazing work that you're doing in Congo, Brazzaville. Thank you so much, Butterfly. Thank you so much. We'll go straight into our next speaker, who is based in the US, but from South Sudan. And this is none other than William Dane. William, your question is, what role can GivingTuesday play in spotlighting and growing this work? William, the floor is yours.
Ali, thank you so much. And thank you, everyone. It is good to be with you all. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Yeah, my name is William Ding. Like Molly said, I am the country leader for GivingTuesday South Sudan. I am also the founder and CEO of Brother Ding, which is a nonprofit that focuses on education, healthcare, and clean water. So maybe a lot of you guys don't know much about South Sudan. Just wanted to step back before I actually answer the question and give you a little bit of history. South Sudan is 14 years old. We became independent back in July 9, 2011. So basically, as we all know, a young country like that, is still going through transitioning, a lot of bad things are happening and also a lot of good things happening, So we've been in civil war for almost 22 years, and yeah, civil war really devastated the country. So our number one priority right now, is building infrastructure. That's what the number one goal for the country, and then everything else come later. So for me, born and raised in South Sudan, growing up in South Sudan before I actually came to United States, I know a lot about my tradition. And when the Given Tuesday opportunity came along, I was like, well, this is something that, I can definitely utilize and bring it to my community, even though it's already exists. Giving Tuesday, we all know, didn't just introduce generosity, it was already there in all our nations. And then one problem that I was running into was not the messaging. It was actually unity, bringing people together. Like I said earlier, we've been in civil war for so long, and countries still going through transition, and so we lack of resources. To answer your question specifically, this is just for South Sudan. This may not be true for the rest of the nation or the rest of the African country. It's we lack of resources, and the more resources we can have, the better we can definitely, empower the community to come together. It will give us an opportunity to reinforce, what already there, with this generosity. And to reinforce generosity, we need the resources. It requires time, it requires finances, it requires something that, tools that can help us, set example. This is what we need to do. This is where we need to move to. This is the goal. And like I mentioned earlier, a country with a lot of resources, it's hard to tell people, we need to come together around a common goal. When you don't have the tools, you don't have example, you don't have things to demonstrate. Thankfully, our nonprofit was able to build a medical clinic, and we are using that medical clinic right now as a way to bring people together. So our nonprofit provide medicine of community. I ask, to provide whatever they have, food, and then we also ask government to provide doctors and nurses. And we just select a day, like we in February, we selected 2 days where we just declared the malaria, in our neighborhoods. And everybody came together. Community have the responsibility, government have the responsibility, our nonprofit have the responsibility. We came together, not only we exceeded our goal, but we was also to demonstrate in the community that this is what can happen when we come together, and when we come together and focus on the common good that we can all benefit from. So yeah, going back to the question, I would say specifically in South Sudan, Giving Tuesday can help, if Giving Tuesday have resources to help country leader like myself, not personally, but with my team, I think that can really help unlock what already there, and that is, convincing the local to be able to leverage what they already have, which is generosity, moving forward. So at the African, as an African whole, I don't know that this is the problem at the African level as a continent, but I think some of you may agree that we have a unity problem. We have a unity problem, especially in South Sudan, not at the local level, but at the national level. It is hard to bring our people together to actually believe in one common good that is good for everyone, not just a single community, not just a single human being, not just a single leader, but something that is good for community. And that's one thing that the West is beating us on, unity. For example, United States just didn't build itself, it was an idea that, what, if we just collect all of these states, that specifically is a country, one United States is a country. But when they put all of that unity together, they call it the United States, it's a bunch of countries together. They feel that, this is actually a powerful thing to have. If we can be bigger than anybody else around the world, we can defeat anybody else around the world, and nobody else is going to mess with us. And and the life would be better for all of us. So I would say Giving Tuesday can definitely play a role at the United Africa, in around common good. And that would probably require all the country leaders, to invest. And I'm going back to the resource. I hate to say this, but we're all going to need resources. Nothing is going to happen without the resources that we need to move forward. So with that being said, I think I'm running out of time. Thank you so much again. All of the speaker, I ride on, everything that you guys are saying is true. And I hope God bless us and bring us together moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother Dane, for that. Thank you so much. We have a lot to do, but like we said from earlier on, Africa loves to give, and it's good that we are givers and we can stand for each other. That's why we have Giving Tuesday, and let's see how best we can work together. Our next speaker is none other than Jala. Jala is a senior business analyst in software development in the USA, who also enjoys volunteering for the voiceless. He is passionate about, he is passionate about unconventionally creating meaningful impact for youths in rural communities and using technology to empower grassroots movements across Africa. He is a global leader for GivingTuesday Liberia and served on the GivingTuesday board. Jala also consulted for GivingTuesday in various capacities, including serving as one of the regional directors for GivingTuesday Sterling Collective for the US, Canada, and Caribbean region. Jala has been an advocate for the GivingTuesday movement across Africa for 7 years. He believes the true meaning of vertical generosity is only a strange idea to those who have not imagined or reflected on the injustices and suffering of others. Jala has a master's degree in computer science information systems from the University of Wellington, a certificate in international business from the National University of Singapore, a project management professional. Well, Jala's CV is rich. We'll just jump a little. Jala is originally from Liberia. Jala has lived in 5 countries. He loves to travel. He has been to 27 countries and counting. He is a truly nomad for generosity. Let us welcome Jala. And Jala, your question is, how can we scale Africa-led giving initiatives? How can we scale Africa-led giving initiatives? Jala, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mali. I hope everyone can hear me. Time is already fast spent. I am going to be very brief and try to just summarize. I realize that we will need some time for questioning. So I'm thankful to the previous speakers who did a fantastic job really highlighting the essence of all of these questions. My question is a loaded question. It's very difficult to answer a question like this. I'm not sure if there are, I'm not sure if there is a specific correct answer, if there's any one correct answer to this question, but we do know that this is Giving Tuesday, right? This is a movement that doesn't only define itself as a global generosity movement, but it also challenges us. It encourages us, it trains us, those of us who are closer to this network to think, to collaborate, to act, and to be, and more importantly, to question the status quo with one intention. And that intention is obviously unleashing the power of radical generosity. So when I was asked this question, few other questions came to mind that I don't think we need to answer, but just things we need to think about. Questions like, should we consider the giving initiatives should we consider the era or the time period these giving initiative started in Africa? Should we even think about skilling African giving practices, right? The how is important, but should we even be thinking about that as something we want to do? And also what's happening now in Africa when it comes to giving and funding, knowing the uncertainty that exists in this sector for us. And then maybe for you, each of you individually, to just think and reimagine yourself as a youth thinking about this question right now. Can you imagine thinking about this question as a youth in Africa? Because we all were there at some point. So I think one of the important things to think about is really the era of some of these giving initiatives in Africa. There are 4 different era if we're thinking about the different types of African initiatives, and this might be something that have been defined by Westerners or maybe by Africans. The research doesn't show the details of that, but I would say the pre-colonial era is an era where we saw mostly communal and cultural giving. This is the Ubuntu, the Insusu, the Hambari, all of those different types of giving. Then we came to the faith-based era. This is like 1,000 years old, when we saw things like tithes and offerings and zakat if you're from the Islamic religion. Then the colonial period, this is the area that is having a lot of chattering now in Africa, where people are really concerned as to whether charity as it exists is really helping, especially those charities that still kind of practice the format of the colonial rule of that time period. So these are things to kind of think about. And then finally, what folks are calling today the modern philanthropic era. That's where most of us are. And that's where our youth will probably lead us. So I'm going to just skip through. I just wanted to leave those thoughts with you guys. I'm going to just skip through to, I think there are 7 different um, ways to scale African giving initiatives, and maybe not necessarily only African, but also other groups as well. So I'm just going to listen and not talk about them. If you want to jot them down, need some notes I can share with each of you later. Number 1, strengthen local philanthropic infrastructures. Number 2, make funding more accessible and flexible. Number 3, use technology to mobilize and scale. Number 4, tell African giving stories better. That's very important. Number 5, build stronger partnerships. Number 6, policy and advocacy support. We need that like yesterday. And number 7, this is my personal favorite, and maybe I'm biased about that. Number 7, center youth and grassroots leadership. I think it's very important whatever we do when we talk about giving and scaling giving, we need to make sure youth are part of that conversation. We need to make sure youth are centered in that conversation. We know history tells us that anything that have changed on this planet, as far back as we can remember, has been due to either youth actions, youth movement, youth protests, and in some cases, youth riots. We've seen that recently in Kenya. We saw it during apartheid in South Africa, and we saw it during different time periods. There are lots of them that you can research. But I'd love to draw your attention back to that as much as there are 7 different ways to scale African giving initiatives, I will caution each of us to really put some emphasis on making youth the center of the things that we are doing in Africa when it comes to giving, because they are the next group of people to hold the baton to move us forward. I'll stop there in the interest of time to my colleagues and the rest of you. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Jala, for that. Thank you so much. My take from this is to tell the African giving stories better. And the one also is where youth involvement is very, very important. I think we all need to carry that with us, where we need to involve the youth and telling the African story better. I will hand over to my colleague that I'm hosting the program with, Lizzie from Uganda. It has been nice to speak to Lesotho, Liberia, Congo Brazzaville, South Sudan. Did I leave out? Sorry, Madagascar. Thank you so much for sharing those powerful stories. It has been great to chat with you and to just hear what other African countries are doing. Well, it has been Malingoso Sakala from Lusaka, Zambia. I now hand over the mic to my friend Lizzie. Please, Lizzie.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mali, for moderating the panelist session. And I'd just like to highlight a few things from our panelists. First, I'll thank you. I'll thank all the panelists. Thank you so much for sharing your stories, for their evidence that when we give rooted in justice, we just don't fill gaps, but we build futures. We've seen Dimfo share that giving for justice means an intentional giving to create balance, to restore, to heal, as well as to dignify. She highlighted the spirit of Ubuntu, where we always have shared resources amongst ourselves as Africans. And also for those that just joined, because I see that we have a couple of people that have joined this webinar a little late towards the end. Ronnie shares that the traditional values that his organization, Butterfly, has, just like Mbongi, that really centers around collective dialogue and spaces to identify community needs, but also to co-create solutions through giving. People giving their time, their skills, and resources. But also William from South Sudan has been able to really highlight and demonstrate the power of unity for a common good through his organization, Brother Deng, that has really brought people together through their health center. And he really stresses the important role to access resources in order to grow our giving movement. And finally, our speaker, all the way from Liberia, though he's situated in the US, that is Jala. He tasked us to think about the timeline of the giving initiatives that have been started in Africa, but also how we can scale them in our own perspectives. For in his perspective, he's been able to highlight how to achieve scaling through telling African stories better, but also most importantly to him, centering youth in leadership. So thank you so much for highlighting these important takeaways. I would like to open up the discussion for our participants. Now we are turning to all of you, and you're able to tell us we would like to hear your thoughts on what the speakers have shared. Do we have any questions, maybe thoughts around how is giving practiced in your own community, or have you seen moments where generosity has sparked systemic change, or even thinking about what would a justice-driven Giving Tuesday movement look like in your context? So are there any questions? We can drop them in the chat, and definitely any questions towards the panelists. You can also just raise your hand in case you'd like to speak and unmute. Any questions? Okay, I can see one from Joel. Joel, you can unmute. Thank you for joining in. Joel, please do.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be part of this amazing team as we embark on generosity and as we spread the movement of Giving Tuesday. So, well, I would love to appreciate and thank the previous speakers for their work well done in their respective countries. Yes, I would also want to add this to what they have shared in regards to my experience. So, well, over time, I've learned, and I love the fact also that our leaders, the different chapter leaders, are doing it as well. I just want to emphasize it more to the whole room at large, that engaging people in their development as we give. I can give an example. I had a scenario here. We always don't want to speak about our failures. We always want to speak about our success. And let me share my failure in regards to the giving. So there was one time where we kind of did this kind of activity, I would say, to give some people, and because we do not involve them or to ask them with this, so we gave a miss. So you know how you can contribute money to give something, it's a miss because we haven't engaged the party that you're trying to help. And with that, I learned amazing lessons while giving, that people have to be engaged, having conversations to them and see, do they really need this? Because what we did, I think we sat back where we were. I remember that time we were in Kampala, and yeah, we're still the university finishing and all those things. So we thought these people in this suburb need this. So let's gather some money and, you know, we go and give them. And to our surprise, we gave a miss. So if we had sat down and involved these people to see what is happening, what's going on with your life or their lives, maybe would have created greater impact. Of course, we made them happy. We took pictures and things like that for publicity purposes. But later on, when I went back, or when we sat down and later on, when I went for some studies on this sustainable development and courses on community-led development, I got to realize that parties that are being helped have to be involved, and their ideas are heard through these sparking questions, generating these questions. What is going on? What is happening? What are you saying? So that's for those who are not doing it, please try to embrace it so that we embrace a giving that leads to sustainable development, and not a giving that just or for photos and things like that. Then I would also love to add the fact of engage, or as we engage, also listening is very crucial. Those are some of the lessons I learned in my failure towards that kind of generosity that we thought we were doing. Yes, it was from the outside, it was, but the aspect of sustainability was lacking. And I learned a good lesson, and I hope to be a better person at giving to ensure that we obtain sustainable development, as the previous speakers have shared. Thank you very much. This meeting has been so informative. I hope to put that in practice to improve what I'm doing currently in the communities. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that is Joel from Uganda. He mentioned Kampala. And Joel is just stressing out really the importance of co-creation, especially towards community needs and solutions, but also taking note of active listening. Thank you so much, Joel. Any other questions, additions, statements, thoughts that would like to add before we close, since our time is fast spent? I see Moses. Moses, please do unmute and let's keep time. Moses, let's use 1 minute.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, my name is Moses. This is my first time trying to understand whatever Give Tuesday is doing, impacting the community. And I've seen you guys are doing a tremendous job. And my recommendation is, as we do all this good work, especially for countries like South Sudan, whatever our brother is doing, there's a lot of opportunities which probably we can tap on, that is influencing the policies of various government departments, so that they can own some of the responsibilities or some of the work that we are doing, so that we have long-term impact, and also government-owned initiatives for sustainability purpose, so that at least organizations like Give Tuesday can do more on other areas rather than do whatever the government is doing. And also the other thing is whatever Jala said in terms of leveraging on technology, because we are in the technology era whereby things are being done as quick as possible from the desk. Let us try to impact our youth so that they can be very good versed in technology utilization, so that to create awareness and also have lasting impact. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Moses. I think you used less than a minute, and that's lovely. You are highlighting the importance of involving policymakers for sustainability, but also stressing the fact that we need to leverage technology, especially with the youth. So thank you very much. Is there anyone that would like to add any contributions? But in case we don't have, okay, Daniel, thank you. Please unmute and give us. Daniel will be our last participant to share.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. Greetings, everyone. It's good to be here. It's been a while. I've missed conversations around Giving Tuesday. Just a highlight, congrats to all the speakers. Everything went well. It was well understood. But just as Moses said, we might have, or there might be maybe new organizations or people from countries where Giving Tuesday is not like part of their routine, and they might not have leaders in their countries. There could be a way, maybe in our conversations, like how, you know, these new organizations or people from different countries, they can tap and leverage, you know, the benefits of Giving Tuesday. So maybe how they can start, how they can use it in, you know, to celebrate giving or local resources mobilization, and anything that comes with supporting the community. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Jala, would you like to share more about that? Especially about how countries that don't have leaders can leverage the Giving Tuesday movement in their country. Jala? Is Jala still on the call? Okay. If not, William, would you like to take that up?
Yes, absolutely. So, I think the good way to start is maybe reaching out to African Hub, you know, just because we have our African Hub, you know, they've been doing a fantastic job, and I think it will make things easy for the leader, you know, to kind of gather the information they need. And then the next step will to connect with Kate, who is the leading on Giving Tuesday globally, to sign up and kind of just like go through process with the leader. You know, there are some requirements that the leader had to go through. You have to come up with a kind of like a mission. You know, what do you try to accomplish? You know, how would you represent, you know, Giving Tuesday at the country level and things like. With the sake of the time, you know, there's so many things that I can talk about, but I think why don't we direct anybody that interested to our African Hub? You know, I think that would be a good way to start.
Great. Thank you so much, William, for highlighting that. So if you would like to know more about Giving Tuesday, but also activate Giving Tuesday in your own country, please reach out to the African Hub. That is the Giving Tuesday Africa Hub. You can find the African Hub via LinkedIn, on Instagram, but even on Substack, where you can reach out and read more about Giving Tuesday, but also how someone can leverage this movement to promote radical generosity in their country, in their communities, even in their homes. So yes, this is the end. This is the end, and this is the end of our webinar. We've had amazing conversation about how we can use the power of giving, and also how it can shape Africa's future. So we are reminded that generosity isn't foreign to Africa, but it is ours. It's how we have survived. It is how we have organized, but also it is how we've always risen. So let's move beyond aid narratives, and let us tell our stories of African giving that build power, equity, and hope. So I'm hoping that this is how you can start, or you can take action. You can reach out to the Giving Africa Hub, just like we shared before, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Twitter, on all social media platforms. But also you can join our Africa Gives campaign in your country by just sharing African stories and tagging us at Giving Tuesday Africa. You can also follow and share using the hashtag Africa Gives to amplify the movement. Thank you so much for being part of this conversation. Let's keep building together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Have a